Two-tone and LELNESSN. Yes, we are the very best.
$7 popping collars, eating shrimp. $5 met some girls from Guatemala, now they trying to holler.
Now before they wouldn't bother, now I'm trying to be a scholar, cause she giving all the knowledge to me.
Knowledge to me.
Doing her work every night of the week.
Night of the week.
Like she chillin' up at college with me.
College with me, but we cruising, man. Rolling up at 430. Kush, same color as a Kobe Road jersey. Or a throwback worthy. Giraffe ass high. Fresh breeze just passing us by. Cause I'm cruising on a Sunday afternoon. I got my good shoes on. Ain't got no bad news. Here's what you say to the lady. Let me squeeze you. Oh, let me hold you. Oh, let me squeeze you. Oh, let me hold you. Why? Cause I don't wanna leave this party, baby, without you. What you waiting for? Hop in the ride.
Okay.
What you waiting for? Hop in the ride. So I arrive at a party at 9. I reside beside Sim. Think when we fly, time's on our side. But look again, then it's 11 p.m. Chalk it on the board. Time to sin. Let's begin. Hey, you're kinda cute, and I got the loot to befriend both you and your girlfriend too.
You single Tim Jones?
Well, that depends. Just then she turned to a friend and she said,
I really like him.
Say word.
I really like him.
Oh yeah.
I really, 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 really like.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to JCT TV. I'm Papa T. I'm here in the studios today of BCC TV. We want to give a great big shout out to the executive director of BCC TV, none other than Big Al Coles. And we also want to give a big shout out to Al back in the control centers, assisting in making it do what it do. I want to give a great big shout out to Jose. Right? You see him all over that intro. Also, welcoming back in the house my co-host today, the outstanding ones, none other than JDX, all the way to my right, your left out there in TV land, the outstanding and lovely Jatrice Golly. We're going to be continuing the subjects that address women 2025. And what we're going to be talking about today in regards to women is the two terms called ordinary and rare. And I'm not sure what comes to your mind out there in TV land, but I'm going to throw it to my far right, your far left out there in TV land, to JDX. Let him open up on the subject matter of women in their state of ordinary or rare.
I would say perhaps this is a very deep conversation, because when you're looking for ordinary becomes common today. And because ordinary becomes like, it's a fashion to be ordinary. And in woman, I don't want to speak on behalf of women because it's a very ticklish question. The sisters always want to know that they are right, and they are, especially in our eyes. But if we have to come to the ordinary of woman, I would like to open it to the sister first before I touch any subject and offender and hurt her feelings in any ordinary way.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. As you were starting to talk, I was thinking that you do have women who tend to be, ordinary, your average women, until something happens where they go from being ordinary to extraordinary. And it could be a lot of things. It could be the fact that you have a woman who's actually, taking care of her family, doing everyday stuff, until one day they come across with someone who probably had an issue or problem, and she's able to help and assist. And then from then on, gives her an idea or gives her inspiration that she wants to do more. And then that's where she actually goes from being average to extraordinary, to make moves that not a lot of women made moves for, or actually basically having to do something about what it is that she is passionate about, and making a stamp in either people's lives or in history. And that's what makes them extraordinary.
Wonderful. Pops, what do you think?
Wow, I mean, y'all coming out the gate right, with the term extraordinary, and we were talking about ordinary basically in comparison to rare or rarity. And that term had to come out eventually.
Yep.
Right? But I'm glad that y'all hopped on it early. When I think of rare, I'm not even thinking so much extraordinary, right? I'm thinking when I say ordinary. There was a term, you brought it up, you said common. Right? Back in my day, when you said a man or woman was common, it was like fighting words, or either mean that your parent is about to tear you up, because it's not supposed to be anything common about you. Right? That means that you're regular, anybodies. That's what it really meant. And then you talk about, I heard the tree saying, a woman who's doing it all, more or less, right? Because the households now, basically either that woman in her household is doing it all, or that man in his household is doing it all, right? They were actually established to be a unit, right? But now, because of finances and the thing we call money, which is not really money, it's cash, and cash is trash, right? It's placed us in a situation of division, right? And we are living separately. And some of us are living in the same household, but still living separately.
True.
She has her accounts in her movement, he has his accounts in his movement, and we don't unify. Until we begin to unify as the basic family, we can cast out any concepts of being unified as a people, especially in a nation where you are about to be totally divided once again, and you won't be able to unify. Otherwise, it's called the crime of loitering, right? If you unify as a people. But the thing is, I suggest to everyone that look at those two terms. Hear us out this evening, but look at those two terms on your own and see what the Spirit reveals to you after hearing the things that will be expressed today on this panel. I'm tossing it back to my right.
Okay. But I was listening to this beautiful lady a while ago and hearing her explanation about ordinary. It makes a lot of sense to know that a lady, a woman, can do extraordinary things. But on her own, she still is vulnerable for a lot of weaknesses, which all the burden is placed on her by wanting to become extraordinary. But at the end of the day, as Paps was saying a while ago, when the family is not united, even ordinary can become witnessed because there is not the balance of which is supposed to be the one that keeps the unit together, where the family can be tight and strong.
Now, see, the only reason I actually put that out there is because it's basically general, but I could put it out there in another sense where it could be an everyday woman who goes out. She gets up in the morning, makes her breakfast, fixes up everything, and already runs her errands and then goes off to work or something else. But the thing about this is that it's going to be a certain time where someone is needing some sort of assistance or just need an ear at that time period. But like I said, that inspiration kicks in. The inspiration could have kicked in with her having to, say she's on a bus and she happens to see something that actually gave her an inspirational idea to actually want to do something, make that change. And yes, at first she'll probably be alone, which that also probably makes her even more extraordinary because she's brave enough to actually take it upon herself.
I am hearing extraordinary, ordinary, and different levels of those two words, right? One thing is that we have to remember as we go over to a short break, and we'll be back thereafter, is the fact that you have to remember that nobody should be attempting to be ordinary in any level today, especially in our community, because he who gets behind in a race must forever remain behind or run faster than the man in front. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
What is it that you want to do that you still haven't done?
You'll find me.
Can you tell us a little bit of how you would encourage women today?
It's important to lifting up the work that women are doing in all spaces.
Here with Ja Rule.
Hey, how you doing, Shelly? How you feeling?
I'm doing so well now that you are here. You are just adding to this celebration. Want to talk a little bit about the drama?
It's been a crazy season. How can next year be better than the year? But we can't do it. We're going to hit a wall, and sure enough, we didn't.
So excited to be here with Margaret Josephs. Thanks for joining me.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here with Shelly. I'm Rochelle.
Tell us about your accomplishment here. Tonight's a very big night for you.
I'm just so honored to be here. We're celebrating powerful women.
If you could be anybody else, and I don't know why you'd want to be, who would you want to be?
It's nobody in this room.
We are here with
Allison Camerata,
She is incredible. She has a long history in journalism.
CNN correspondent and anchor.
Cutting all toxins from your life. People.
That's a good idea no matter what.
All of it.
Hi, Shelley Stelmack, Queen of Exquisite Style, here at Neiman Marcus Short Hills. I'm going to show you some of my favorite things.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and there's a whole bunch of excitement going on in here today. What we're going to do is we're going to take this interview with the great Guido Rodriguez, and they know I jack some names up. They know already. So if I say Guido or Guido, then he knows it's nothing but love and fun. I'm throwing all of this into the laps of the outstanding Shelley Stelmack, and she's going to interview Guido Rodriguez. Shelley, you have the air.
I am so excited to meet you. You are a Latin sensation. You just recorded a Manhattan song with the Manhattan group, right? And re-released it?
Yes, the tune has been released. First of all, hi, Shelley. Yeah, the tune has been released. It came out at the beginning of the year, 7 January, where, we all thought, what day should we do it? Right after Christmas. And it's been doing real good. It's been doing real good.
Well, 7's a lucky number. Tell us a little bit more about it and why you came with, how you got to that inspiration to go down this road.
Well, the thing is that, I've been in this for 55 years. I grew up, like I said, in Chicago. My first language was English, and I just talked a little bad Spanish because that's what we were, the Puerto Rican family. But I got to go to Puerto Rico and I studied there. The thing with the Manhattans, I've been singing for a long time, and I always wanted to do English song, and I wanted to put some Latin in it.
So your songs in the past have always been in Spanish?
They've been in, yes, I've recorded English stuff, like when I was I spent 22 years in Germany. And I did some other stuff through my career. But this one is like I was telling, Papa T, that I got like Luther Vandross, Always and Forever. I did it in salsa. And then we got Lou Rawls, You'll Never Find Another Love Like Mine. Now and Forever.
Wow.
What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. You can listen to that one in salsa. So I've been only recording, but this is the first time that I'm recording with the group. That means the group is with me. And I'm not doing, an arrangement, that only the song is there and I do the rest. But this is with the Manhattans, and that's what we did different. So probably later, which I think...
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on the platform of JCT TV. And I'm going to take the subject matter and toss it directly back into the lap of the lovely Latrice Ghali. But what I'm looking for here now at this stage is I want to hear the comparison between the ordinary woman of 2025 thus far, right, and the rarity of the woman.
So to me, ordinary is someone who pretty much just has a regular life, who's just average, who only does the mundane things and doesn't do
I like that word.
doesn't do too much else in their lives.
Okay.
Maybe probably do a little bit of traveling, stuff like that. That's, you know, something that everybody else does on a daily basis. So
Okay.
you're doing the average stuff that everyone else does.
Okay.
Versus an extraordinary woman would be someone who actually takes a chance on something, who's going to be daring, or even goes the extra mile and not realize and feels good about having to do so on top of that. Or the type of person who wants to bring encouragement to others, or does it without even knowing to do so. It's someone who is considered a rarity, and when having to do extraordinary things, being a rarity in whether it's their nationality, the fact of being a woman, or both. Even in age, too. On top of that, so that's what makes a woman extraordinary.
Wow.
No, but as I was thinking, I was listening to her. Ordinary. When you think of the word ordinary, why should it be fitted in the woman's category?
To be honest, it's all about perspective. It really is. It does come down to that, because you can sit up there and what you would consider rare and extraordinary, because you may not even heard of or even understood at a time period. Somebody else is like, oh yeah, that's nothing. I heard about how it's done and how she's able to do this and that, blah blah blah. So from that perspective, it's considered an average person. All depends on it could be a job that you might, oh, that sounds great. Oh, that's amazing. I never heard of that. That's well, somebody else is he's listening to the same thing and saying, oh, it is cool. But I mean, it's, you know, on a average level, on a daily basis that they might have heard of it. Or the only thing that might be rare is the fact that of what the job is and who's in and how many women are actually working that job. And the skill on top of that. That's the only other thing.
No, but in the society we are living today.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this. Let me say this. Especially as a community, we're talking about our community.
Okay.
I really can't speak for the Caucasian man's community, the Asian man community, Hispanic man community, because I'm a black man, right? So my thing is this, that knowing where I am and where my people is, and knowing where especially my women is, or my woman is, right? Then I have to say that any woman that sets out from our community, sets out to be an ordinary woman, that's a major issue. That's a problem. You understand? I can remember sitting here, I'm listening to you guys speak. I can remember I had 7 brothers and 5 sisters, right? I can remember the size of the pots that my mother had to cook, and she cooked breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? The pots were like this big, you know, because everybody had to have plenty. Nobody went one, right? So, and I think that when you woke up, you smelled something cooking. When you came home from school, you smelled something cooking, right? And then it was ran like a ship, the household, because we're having a problem today saying that we're going to create this platform or this issue, that we need to be creating systems, because we need a system of our own, right? We keep running around saying, well, this is not created for us, this is not meant for us. And the thing is, nobody is establishing systems. And when I say nobody, I'm not speaking about those people who are out there actually creating systems, because we do have some people out there, and I hear people say often we don't have any black leaders. So those are lies. It's used to divide you. It doesn't make a difference if Reverend Al Sharpton is doing this thing, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is doing this thing, and others is doing what they're doing in their own perspective. Let them do that. Let them establish their system, but it has to be a system put in place, right? So that works for you, right? And then you can address the issues as a system. Not going to them and saying, oh, this happened, and you're crying and you're asking for something. You understand? Only thing that you're asking for is to be left alone. You understand? To establish your community the way it needs to be commuted in your system.
But how do we create our system in a system that is already existing?
Okay, you have to stop. First of all, we talk about the dollar. You have to be selective where you spend your dollars.
Yep.
If you continue to give your dollars back to those who is whooping you in your front and your back, something is wrong with you. You understand?
But do your own have a system where you can provide the need of what
the resources.
The resources.
Yes.
Well, you have to remember, as a people, you came from Africa. All the resources in Africa, so you should be communicating with your people back home. First of all, that's where you're making your biggest problem and mistake. Start communicating with your people back home and start seeing what they have that they can exchange you for your American dollars that they love so much. You understand? Anyway, guys, because I can see you drifting off into deep thought.
No, but you're right. It's the fact that that's one of your sources is having to actually go back to Africa and having to talk to them, see who you can actually communicate with them. Because to be honest, there are people from the U.S. who actually was like, you know what, I hear there's a lot of things going on, and when they go and visit, they done trips and whatnot, they see that there's certain things that they don't have that we have, and you want to establish.
But what I was trying to point, this week I was listening to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was trying to get exactly what you're saying. And the enemy here, while he was trying to get the goods in for his people here, the enemy was going ahead of him and discouraged the people that he's going to make business with, so not to sell it to him to bring to his own people, because the enemy is saying his system is the one supposed to stay in existence.
You got to remember this. In your day-to-day activities, you have to remember that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Why would I want to allow my tools? If you say, okay, I have some jobs over here, I need to borrow your hammer, your screwdriver, your saw, and I'm like, I have some jobs here consistent throughout the week. I'm going to come up slacking, right, and lacking. So the thing is that you have to say and bear that in mind, that, okay, nobody's going to just freely say, come help these people. They're not going to give you a religious belief or system that's going to free you, right? You have to create these things. Go back and do your research and see who you are.
No, but that's what I was saying to you, Paps. In the present, while the people is hungry or thirsty, and it's the enemy that have the water, since you have not made the proper preparation for them to get that water, don't they still have to buy it from the enemy?
No, in this case, the enemy do not have the resources. The enemy uses everybody else's resources.
Yes, but
and the thing is that you need to make contact with them directly yourself. Because you have the peso, you have the dollar.
No, I respect all what you're saying, but it looks like you have not been picked. 1 minute. What I'm trying to point is, while you are getting the resources and you have not built the foundation so that the people can exist on the foundation, so the foundation have to be built.
We're gonna come right back. And on that note, Bill, before we leave, I actually want you all to remember this: never ever fail to start waiting for something else. And we'll be back, and we're going to pick up right there.
Yes, sir.
You know, because I left in 1992 after 22 years. I came over here, nobody knew who I was, only few, because there was no cell, there was no digital, there was
no social media.
That's right. That's that's the key.
So we say this in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, when you get to somewhere and there's no work, there's nothing, it's like you biting the cable. You bite the cable because there's nothing for you in the music world. So it took me a few years, very quick. I have 34 years as a United States Army soldier, and I'm a
thank you for your service.
And I did a lot of all my duty while I was still singing, and then when I did the first one, I did What a Wonderful World. I see trees of green, red roses too.
Ooh.
I see them bloom.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we're having a fantastic time up here today on this panel, and we hope you're enjoying that coverage that we brought to you remotely. But with that being said, we left off talking about starting. Right?
Starting.
Now, you don't have to be great to start. but you got to start to be great.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if a person comes to me, being in the entertainment industry, if a person comes to me and says, wow, I see that you have an idea to do this project. It seems like you're moving forward. Do you have the proper funding? And I say, no, actually, I have only $15 toward the project, even though it's a $100,000 project. And they say, well, we'll wait and see how you start and how you move according with that. And if we see that you're getting the budget, we may add on to the budget, right? Then I'll say, then you can start watching me. Don't wait to watch me, because I want to do that. I'm going to do it. It doesn't make a difference if I have $15, I have $0, or I have $100,000. I'm starting my project. You understand? Never, ever wait on anything. Like, we've been waiting for over 400 years, talking about that we're going to build a foundation, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. No, don't wait for anything. Start doing what you know how to do today, and then collectively, let's go about it and build.
And you know what's funny? It's what I've been saying that whole time. You know how we actually talked about certain ways with politics, and Francisco always talking about how you can always do a petition, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why not just cut out the middleman?
On that rarity, right, and that ordinary. And ordinary in our community has to be extraordinary. We can't do ordinary.
But we
It
have
has
never
to be
done
extraordinary.
We have never done nothing
Anything
extra.
ordinary.
We have
Anything
never
ordinary.
done nothing has
Because
been,
you give me the cows intestines, or you give me the pigs intestines, and
Yes,
I turn
sir.
it into a delicacy.
Yes, sir.
Right? So now everybody want to buy it, and it's very expensive. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump off the panel. It's been a pleasure being here, and we'll be right back with Titus from St. Lucia, joining these wonderful people.
We're back, and we actually have a special guest. We're back on the topic of rare and extraordinary and ordinary women of 2025. And we just been really talking about it, but I'm going to actually have you introduce our guest.
Okay, this is Titus from St. Lucia.
Extraordinary women. You get some of them that really good, some of them that uplifting themselves, some of them will just want to stay around, depending on other stuff. Someone will bring it to them. But still, ordinary is like getting women that will, okay, what do I put it? Put it like, they'll get up every morning, go to work, bring what's on the table to feed their family, to provide everything they need.
So basically, mundane, everyday